Hello and welcome to the Morning After Show. My name is Joshua Reimer. I'm joined by none other than Jared Block, who is over on my right. Jared, I've been off for the past 2 days. Yesterday was a super chill and relaxed day. Wednesday, had a few work things that I had to work around. That's fine though. We continue to grind over here. But how was your Wednesday and Thursday?
Yeah, both days have treated me pretty well. Busy day Wednesday, Thursday. Actually, let's just go back to Wednesday because obviously we'll give you the rundown on NBA. It was a wild night. James Harden was supposed to be the chalk of the chalk against the Denver Nuggets, and they're playing games without Kevin Durant and Kyrie when they're at home. That was one of those situations. Joker balled out the previous night and didn't really have to do much without James Harden, who eventually got scratched. So they rolled out a Nets lineup of, I think it was, if I remember correctly, Patty Mills, DeAndre Bembry, I believe Kessler Edwards started, James Johnson, and LaMarcus Aldridge. So that was their starting lineup, which, for those that pivoted, you definitely tapped into some of those plays and you probably ended up getting pretty close. I fell 4 points short that night, which was very, very tilting.
The worst.
And that was with that Devin Booker take too, which was even more frustrating.
Your
'Cause I
Devin
was
Booker
like,
take was such.
yeah.
I saw it. I saw it the day after. I didn't see it the day before, but I saw him put up 21 points in the first quarter, and I was like, "Yeah, D Book's going off," and we all should have known this. And here I come into Thursday to pull clips for the podcast, and you absolutely nail your take on Devin Booker. By the way, if you guys want to hear that take, go to @OnTheRotoRadar on Twitter. You can see all the clips that we post for the podcast, highlighting some of our best takes. But yeah, this Nets game looks a little crazy. I'm pulling it up now because, like you said, I haven't watched basketball the past 2 days. I'm surprised they kept it so close, though. I mean, it's 124 to 118 without Harden, Durant, and without Kyrie, right?
Yeah, no, for real. It's gonna be an interesting situation moving forward because I would guess that Durant's out through the All-Star break and Kyrie is just going to play these road games and might not even play all of them. So, James, this comes from literally the day before of him saying that he was unhappy with Steve Nash's rotations, frustrated with the franchise, just wants to win, even though they're a top 3 seed in the East. And I don't know. I mean, it feels like, and I talked to Sean about this yesterday. It feels like James Harden is not saying that he's not faking an injury, but it seems too good to be true on that front. You don't just get questionable after nothing, after the comments that you made to sit out a game at home. It just doesn't make sense to me. So more drama, and who would have thought a team with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden on it? Yeah, and a player coach. With that being said, yeah, not going to work. So
Yeah.
I think that they respect Steve Nash, but at the end of the day, we've seen these player coaches and things that just don't work out. So I don't know. I think that they're still in this window where they can win, and BetOnline still has them as the favorites to win the title. But it's a very interesting situation. And last night, it was very clear cut where the cash line was going to go. I decided to I did end up playing Westbrook just because there was a lot of money left on the table yesterday. But I ended up going Steph Curry and Karl Anthony Towns. That ended up working out. We saw huge inflated ownership for Andrew Wiggins, who we'll talk about here in his All-Star debut starter. Of all things, I know that you saw that as the news came out yesterday too. That was it was amazing to hear that live on the podcast. So yeah. Anyway, I won last night in GPPs. GPP package is hot, and we're ready to roll into it on Friday. So we do have, while this title does say Championship Sunday, we're going to preview those 2 games coming up here. Let's recap a little bit more NBA first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we can. Are there any other games that you want to talk about? Because I really want to go into this the All Star selection, because I put my tweet in there that I posted yesterday. I saw this and my jaw dropped a little bit when I saw that Andrew Wiggins news. So, are there any other games that you want to cover very quickly? And if not, let's get into this All Star stuff, because we only have a limited amount of time today.
Yeah. The only story here, really, or any surprise, is that Andrew Wiggins is the All-Star. starter for the West. I mean, all the other ones are pretty self-explanatory and kind of been there before. I don't think anybody else is like a first time actually being on. I think John Morant's a first time starter though,
Yeah.
so that's cool to see. But yeah, everybody kind of deserved what they did. Is DeMar? Do you know if DeMar DeRozan's a first time starter for the East?
For the East for sure, because he's always been in the West. But or no, wait,
No,
no, he
no,
was in the no, he was with the
yeah.
Raptors. But no, I don't think he was ever a starter with the
I think you're
Raptors.
right. I think you're right. But yeah, I mean it's pretty self-explanatory. I think that people expected Giannis. I think Trae Young deserved his. Joel Embiid, DeMar, and then you have who am I missing on the last one? Kevin
As
Durant. Kevin
yeah,
Durant,
Katie. But that's gonna
who
get
probably
replaced.
won't even
So
play. Yeah,
yeah, that's gonna
exactly.
get replaced. It's gonna be interesting to see who replaces him. Who's that sixth man in the voting? Um, but yeah, this is super. Like Gusti saying it was the K-pop stance that got him in. We got a Tracy McGrady fan in the chat. What's going on? First time viewer. Good afternoon indeed. Yeah, I don't know, man. This seems really weird, especially because like you could have put Devin Booker here and made a million more sense. But I guess
Oh
that's the
yeah, for
downside of
sure.
having the voting,
Yeah,
with the fan voting.
I mean CP3 or Devin Booker make a lot of sense here.
Yeah, only reason I don't say CP3 is because Jaw's there. So like they already
I
have
get
their
it.
point
I
guard.
get it.
You get a shooting guard in there, makes a ton of sense. And I don't know. Is this the do we start seeing an end put to this fan voting situation because of situations like this?
Well, normally they give like massive amounts of votes to players and then it auto corrects itself, right? Like Bobby Portis, Boban, Bol
Yeah,
Bol, like
no.
those guys were getting massive votes and then they kind of just fade out. But I don't know. I mean I know that Curry and Draymond have had their injuries and Clay just came back, but Wiggins hasn't carried the team, so I don't really understand the reasoning of how that happened in the first place.
Well, Gusti's saying it's the K-pop stands who got him in. I have
I
I have
guess.
zero clue what that means. I have
Korean
no.
pop, like the
No,
fan
no,
base.
I know what K-pop is. I'm saying what does that have to do with Andrew Wiggins though? Like why did they get Andrew Wiggins into the All-Star game? What was the reasoning?
I'm not too sure. I'm looking up
That's
right
my
now.
point is like why what happened here? I need more on the story. What
Oh yeah,
happened
okay.
here?
I'm reading it right now. We might as well do this because I mean, we still have like 20 minutes, but
Yeah,
it's worth it. It's worth
it
it.
definitely is worth it.
Um, yeah, apparently it has something to do with what? I mean, like I guess a member of one of the biggest K-pop, like his name is Bam Bam. Is he
Uh-huh.
like a superstar?
Okay.
I guess that he's been pushing the thing on social media, and that's really the only reason.
But again, like my question goes back to like why, like what is why is this happening? I know you don't have any idea. I don't have any idea. It's just really weird. I think you see an end put to fan voting, at least when it comes to starters, because like this is an important award to give someone. Like for example, LeBron got his 18th straight uh All-Star start yesterday, most all time. Like, does this kind of diminish the fact that he's getting those 18 All Star starts?
I mean, it's an awesome feat. Like I think that I mean, you're
That
saying
the,
that it might hurt the reputation of a starter.
I think it does at least like at least discredits it a little bit, like the fact that fan voting can get literally anybody in.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. So the guys that they have apparently who were on the outskirts of this, it makes sense that Wiggins was the one that was chosen because of position. That's it. So maybe instead of going with positions, and I guess we could say the first thing for the NBA all teams at the end of the year, like they should just do away with positions and just give the best players the awards. And
Yeah,
Wiggins goes up against Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns. obviously those are all big men, and he's not.
Mm.
His stats through the first half of the year: 18.1 a game, 4.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists, zero point 0.9 steals, 2.2 defensive win shares. Then like nobody averages close to that. Rudy Gobert, I guess, is the closest, and Cat obviously has more scoring but less everything else. Maybe Cat was the one that deserved it the most, but they weren't going to give it to two big men. So maybe they just could do away with that, and they still put Wiggins as an all-star. Do you think that Wiggins is still an all-star?
I'm not really sure if he is at the end. Like, is he really? How many people get selected to the All Star team? 15? Is that the number? Is he really a top 15 player in the West? I don't
I
really
don't,
think so.
I don't know.
Like I don't know, man. Like that's a maybe you could say he's a top 20 player, but I feel like you're even kind of being a little bit bullish on Wiggins if you think he's a top 20 player at the end of the day. Cuz think about it, Booker, Paul, all the guys you just mentioned are better players than Andrew Wiggins. And you have a few other guys as well that like I don't know, man. I just feel like he's probably not a top 20 player in the West, so why does he get this? Uh it doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah, it's strange. We were shouting about it yesterday because we basically just said like the dude is 6K on FanDuel and he's an all-star starter. It just
Yeah.
makes no sense from a DFS perspective. But again, it's all based on actual stats, right? So it
No.
was weird.
It was weird indeed. All right. Anything else with the NBA? If not, we get to talk a little bit about Championship Sunday and the last multi-game slate of the year, which should be exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome slate. We have, I think you're the only person in the company that has a team that's left.
Let's go.
I
Let's
think so.
go Niners. Yes,
Yeah.
I think
So
so.
anyway, enough of that. We don't have to revisit all of that over again, but we do have. I've been keeping a close eye on both of these spreads, and they honestly haven't moved at all, and I thought that they would. But we still have the Kansas City Chiefs at -7. Kind of thought that that might get up a little bit higher, maybe. Maybe people were betting on Cincinnati as underdogs. Who knows? But I think people are kind of going pretty heavy and ham on Kansas City. I guess for good reasons. But do you think that? I mean, what are you putting the Bengals at to win outright right now versus covering? Because I think for me, covering, I would hover around like 40 to 45% winning outright. It's probably 20%.
Yeah, I mean like I don't know. I think I put winning outright around 10 to 15%. I think I put covering around 30 to 35%. It's just like at the end of the day, you look at this team and you realize that over their whole playoffs that they've had, they have a total of 3 touchdowns. Evan McPherson has kicked 8 field goals. They gave up 9 sacks in the last game. Like the Bengals, as awesome as it is for them to be here, and I really don't want to discredit them, this is the luckiest team in the playoffs right now, right? Like this is the team that benefited from matchups and the team that, really got lucky in a few spots. Not to say that the team isn't good and isn't deserving. They definitely are deserving to be here, but out of all 4 teams that are right now in the playoffs, they are probably the luckiest. So, I don't know. I think it's a pretty long shot to say that this Bengals team is going to win.
Yeah, I just go back to the game that they played in Week 17 for the AFC title against the Chiefs. This game was in Cincinnati, so it made a lot more sense then. It's just I don't know. Like they showed that they had the power to keep up with this Kansas City Chiefs offense on the Bengals side. Can they do it 2 times in a row? I don't know because again, like I said before, I'll say the same thing about the Niners Rams game. Like it's hard enough to beat a team 1 time, nonetheless 2, nonetheless 3. So we'll see how these situations go, and it's very interesting to see because we don't often get to witness both conference championships having games between the two teams as recent as 2 or 3 weeks ago in both scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Yeah.
get to see that for maybe the first time in quite a long time. I can't remember off the top of my head the last time that's happened.
Yeah, neither can I. So you're definitely right. It is a little bit of a unique situation. I told you this stat before we came live on the air, but the Ticketmaster announced that one, this is going to be the number one sold event in Ticketmaster's history for the NFL playoffs, which I
Really?
thought was absolutely, or they're getting close to that number one event spot. They obviously have 2 more days to fill that, but it's going to be one of the most sold events in history. And 43% of the votes are now coming from Northern California, which I was telling Jared is a 90-10 split of Rams fans and Niners fans, the 90% going to the Niners. So, like, it's going to be a Niners home game at this point. I think Niners fans took it personally when they saw that thing come out on Sunday where the Rams, or Ticketmaster said that it was only going to be sold to Rams fans. I think they took that personally, and that's kind of why you're seeing this huge push of the Niners really pushing to make it a red out here in SoFi.
Sure. I mean, I think that's going to be the case. I will say that I think that, Rams fans will have their own base as well, but the stadium's so huge that it's just going to look like Niners fans,
Yeah.
and you'll hear the crowd difference. I think that's probably going to be the biggest motivator. So they don't have to travel very far. It's another thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not going to be weather adverse conditions. So
No.
it's just going to come down to whatever quarterback makes the mistake. I think that's pretty much what the game's going to come down to.
Yeah. It's gonna be close, man. I'm not leaning. I mean, like as a sports fan, as a fan of betting, I'm not leaning either way right now. I think this is gonna be incredibly close. I think it's down to the wire. I think BetOnline has this lined perfectly at 3.5. I don't think you can get it any better than this. That's why you haven't seen this move whatsoever. It's because that's the perfect line to set this at, and it's gonna be close, man. Looks like the Niners are gonna come in fully healthy though. Trent Williams announced that he seems pretty likely to come into this game healthy. George Kittle said something about him coming into this game healthy or healthier than he was in Week 18 when they faced off against the Rams. Nick Bosa seems good to go. Elijah Mitchell seems good to go. Seems like it's going to be the whole team. Niners could be missing Ambry Thomas, which would hurt, but I don't know. If this Niners defense is fully healthy, it's the scariest defense out of these last 4 teams.
Yeah, I think that also you guys are playing with house money. I think no
Yeah.
one expected you to be here, nonetheless, in the playoffs in the first place. You've beaten this Rams team twice now, and you have their number mentally. Although I do think the Rams have, come off some pretty big wins the last couple of weeks. So, man, you stop Cooper Cup, you win the game. That's pretty much the bottom line
Yeah.
here, because I think that you guys can handle the run game of the Rams that has looked pretty good. It's a little shaky last week, but they've looked very good with Cam Akers since he's been in the game. So I'm looking at this number of 45.5, and I'm thinking to myself that it feels a little bit low, although I
Mm-hmm.
could definitely see it trending in a scenario where it gets very close to that number. So
Yeah.
the reason that the over hit in the last game of the year was because it went to overtime. Could see that scenarios happen again, but it's unlikely that it would go to overtime for a second consecutive time. So I'll probably just stay like I don't want to. The only bet that I would like to take is I think Chiefs -7 is pretty fair,
Well, I think
because
so
even if
too.
the Bengals, I think if the Bengals keep things close, Chiefs could pull away with the last score, and I think that's enough. So
Yeah.
in the other game, though, I would probably just stick to props. I think Debo Samuel anytime touchdown is probably a good way to go.
Give me Kittle anytime touchdown. I think it happens. I know he's been absolutely dog shit for the last like 4 weeks, but give me Kittle anytime touchdown this week. I'm curious to see what the odds are on that, but I think that's a really solid bet at the end of the day. Um, Especially because I saw the Rams DC making some comments about putting Kittle in a body bag or putting this team in a body bag and mentioning Kittle's comments from Week 18. It's
Okay.
gonna get nasty, man. This is, I think, more importantly than which QB doesn't make mistakes. It's gonna be which team is tougher at the end of the day, mentally and physically. And I side with the Niners when that conversation comes up almost anytime. So it's going to be a really good game. I think this is the game that I'm more excited for. Do you think the Chiefs game has any potential of like a blowout here?
Mm, there
Give
are situations where the Cincinnati Bengals implode. but
Yeah.
I think that their offense is good enough. They've all the we have to. Do we know the status of Tyrann Mathieu?
I know the last thing I read said he was sidelined due to concussion protocol.
Because I think that the Chiefs are down two secondary pieces, so like that worries me a little bit from a Chase Higgins standpoint.
Yeah.
But we'll look into that. We do have a podcast to do this weekend for those
We
two
do.
games, and we'll get all that information sorted out before then. But really, honestly, not really that many injuries to look at. All four teams have kind of made it through. And I mean, like the Rams, like we thought that they were dead in October, November when they lost Robert Woods and had a lot of things going on with them. So, I mean, congratulations to all the teams. I mean, they made it this far because of the fact that they don't have any injuries to worry about, and the ones that they have been able to recover from. I think that the D line for the Bengals is something to watch in those matchups, and then on the other side, I think that the Chiefs secondary could be in some trouble possibly as they got torched by Buffalo as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
we can't really forget about that. They gave up 4 touchdowns to Gabe Davis just a week ago, so. A lot of that has to do with Josh Allen, but if Joe Burrow has ice in his veins, like many think he does, then yeah, I mean, why can't he do it too?
Yep, I definitely agree there. All right, let's talk about everything else happening around Championship Sunday. We're gonna review some future Super Bowl lines via Bet Online later on next week. Let's talk about the news that we had come out that is not relating to Championship Sunday. We found out yesterday that Big Ben retires after 18 seasons. Kind of everyone expected it, but it is official now that he is retiring. McCarthy and Dan Quinn will both be returning for the Cowboys, which is big news for that Cowboys team. Hackett agrees to become the Broncos head coach, and Jared is currently shaken in his boots about the Roger news, and Eberflus is to become the Bears head coach. I know I kind of passed over you shaking in your boots. Are you really scared at all about Hackett becoming the head coach for the Broncos?
No, he deserves a head coaching job with the work that he's done over the past couple seasons. I mean, give Rodgers his credit too, and Adams, and there are studs all over this offense, but he's been the guy that's been controlling everything. He's the one that calls the plays, not LaFleur. So he gets the credit for most of what the Packers have done the past couple of years. So he deserves a head coaching job. I think that the Broncos will like him a lot more than what Fangio was able to do offensively. It's just what happens now for that team because the main talk of the town obviously is what happens in free agency, what happens with Rodgers and Adams. Like the people think that they're going to pair them together and move them somewhere. They have to remember that if they move them somewhere, that means a haul is coming back for Green Bay. So like if you're Denver, who do you give up in that scenario? Because you're giving up more than just one or two pieces.
Yeah, I would imagine it's some combination of one of their wide receivers and Sutton and Judy, and then probably a piece. Maybe it's Locke and maybe it's Bradley Chubb or some big piece on the defensive side. I don't even know what that deal would potentially look like. All I know is, like you said, it'd be a monstrous deal coming back for the Packers, most likely. Um,
Yeah.
it would definitely be interesting to see how that would affect the team. All right. Anything else from the NFL? If not, let's talk about some NHL blind dogs to end off the show.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm not on a good streak, Josh. I'm
I'm
not
pulling
doing
ahead
well.
here, man. I'm pulling ahead, and I'm getting. I think we said that we were gonna have a little friendly wager of who could have the most wins by the end of the year, but I'm starting to blow you out of the water a little bit.
Yeah, it's not great. I think I've lost like 7 in a row.
Oh no, oh no. Did I win on Wednesday? Is that why I'm 6-9?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Who did I win with? I don't even. I don't know who I won with.
You won with San Jose.
Oh, okay. Let's go, San Jose. You'll love to see it. All right. Let's do blind dogs for the day. Give me your pick, Jared.
5 or 6 games. It's a 5 game slate. I don't like
Mhm.
anything to start out, so that's fun. It's
Yeah.
always a good way to start things. Uh, I will go ahead and take. I know Minnesota's good. This is not great, but New York Rangers plus 122.
I like it. Give me the Washington Capitals away from against the Dallas Stars. I've picked against the Dallas Stars a few times, and I think it's worked out. So we're going with Capitals here at plus 111. All right, Jared, we get out of here early on Fridays. Any final notes before we do get out of here?
yeah, again, we have an NFL podcast to do that we recorded sometime today, and it's the last multi-game slate of the year. So sad, but also very, very excited to actually have. It's going to be my first week off of football since mid-August, so I'm pretty pumped
Yeah.
about that. But yeah, shout out to all the teams that have made it in. Since nobody seems to really have any interest in rooting in any other team, I guess this is the Niners stream for the
Yes,
next
sir.
a couple days. So,
Yep.
congrats and good luck. And obviously, we'll be rooting for you on Sunday night.
I'm gonna be sweating, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be a really the last Niners play. I mean, I don't want to bring that up. I feel bad, but the last Niners NFC Championship went really well and was pretty much in the bag early on. I don't think it'll be that way here. I think I'll be standing up and yelling at my TV for most of the day. So I'm excited, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, JTK asked, "Hey, did you guys get around to mailing out that belt?" I'm pretty sure we did, right?
Yeah, I'll send you the information, JTK. Sorry about that.
Perfect. All right, let's get out of here. As always, my name is Joshua Reimer. Good morning and good skill.